Welcome to Model Citizen. I'm Connor Kennedy Ryan, and this podcast, we will pull back the curtain on the modeling industry to show the who's, the what's, and the why's. Today, we're lucky enough to have Sylke Golding, a model whose career spans 4 decades in the industry. She started strong in her late teens, then quit, had an office job for decades, and then restarted in her 50s. Now you can see her on the cover of magazines, on many runways, and shooting editorials. I'm so excited to share her unique journey with you. I'm so excited to welcome one of my favorite people, Sylke Golding. Sylke, happy to have you.
Oh, thank you, Connor. So happy to be here.
We've known each other for, 5 years?
No, it's actually, I think at the end of 2018.
Oh my God.
So it's going on 2018.
Okay, time flies. I feel like I
Yeah,
just
it's
met
7
you.
years. I know.
But a lot has changed since then.
Yes.
There's so many things I've always wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
First, I guess we're just coming off Fashion Week.
Yeah.
That's always a crazy time of year.
Yeah.
How do you approach this time of year mentally? And how do you handle your expectations and nerves?
Well, there's obvious expectations. The minute I feel my mind running away with the expectations, though, I have learned to not lust after the outcome. You know, we all have a huge wish list, but then we also, at least I, at this age, there's a reality. There's a check and balances, and you know what's real and what's not. We hope for the best. We get really excited and bubbly, and then it's all about sort of mentally preparing that, what's going to come is just going to come.
So what the universe is meant to give us.
It's absolutely the universe. It's sort of saying to sort of just, I'm on this path and I'm just going to go. I'm just going to walk it whichever way it lays out.
So you brought up at this age, how old are you?
I'm 59 currently.
59. And did you ever imagine modeling at this point of your life? I want to know a little bit about your history.
No, not when I started modeling the first time. I was 18.
And what year was that?
That would have been 1984. And I lived then in Sweden. I was born and raised in Germany. And at age 14, the whole family moved to Sweden. So I was scouted in Sweden. And then I started at 18 and I went to Paris. So back to your question, back then the industry was different. It's still the same in many aspects, but it was different. The life expectancy of a model was literally 25, 26. Of course, certain model, give and take a few years, and give and take what level you were at and what work you were willing to continue with. So, but for me, I decided at 26 to just sort of bow out.
Wow, so that was the first chapter.
That was the first chapter. So coming back then, and that was in the 90s. So back then, it was literally, I could probably say with surety that had you asked anyone at that point, would there be a modeling career steadily for women, my age group, again, give or take a few years, a decade plus a decade, because we now have, thankfully, a span. I don't think anybody would have said, yeah, sure.
I agree. It wasn't even thought of, right?
You were around, no?
I was around for sure,
Yeah.
90s, and there was no concept of older image models, certainly.
We didn't even have the fax machine. Oh, no, we just had the fax machine.
What about your relationship with the agents and the agencies? Was it hard for you to communicate with them? Did you understand where they were coming from?
I think, and I I think the agent, they're interesting. And again, I think if there's an agent and they're truly invested in you and they could see the end goal, and they connect with the model, and they could see that the model is connecting, I think then you get the extra care. I think other than that, you have to sort of, like it's the crab in the barrel. You have to kind of climb yourself, you have to climb on top.
The cream rises.
Yeah, the cream rises. And then when the squeaky wheel, gets the oil. So I think it's more that. So then you just become sort of in the middle there. Oh, she does well, and there's interest, but let's see what, it sort of depends on you, where you take it. And I think life is like that. It's
I was just going to say.
You offered, and it's funny, it's like life throws you these morsels, and it's like kind of, let's see what she does with that.
Well, for sure, that's a great metaphor for many aspects of our lives.
Yeah.
So for decades, you didn't model.
No,
and
I stopped.
Was it in your mind? Were you watching the industry? Did you feel
No,
distant
I turned
from
away. I completely...
So you turned your back on us.
I was done. Done. Yeah, I think with disappointment, honestly, I was, probably disappointed because I came close many times to, rise to the top. But I think, again, not being ill, but just not knowing what it could do and afford you. And also not being, again, it's the imagery, not being fed any images of what glamorous women should look like. Not even know glamour. If you said to me glamour, sexy, I would be like, I don't know what this is. What is this? What do I do? And 18, 19, 20 back then, it's not the same 18, 19, 20 now.
Well, for sure. The imagery we consume.
Yeah.
Everyone is much more savvy, much more sophisticated. Let's talk about your return to modeling.
Yes, you.
I definitely played a role.
A huge role.
What lit the fire? And were you skeptical? Were you excited? Like, it's so unusual to be able to have a second chance at something. Yeah,
it wasn't a fire. It was sort of typical me first saying no to an opportunity, or trying to say no. I'm like, no. I'm again. I'm like, why would I want to model again? I was approached, the job that I held, I had an office job, a great office job. I'd been there for 17 years, architectural design firm, and the PR department was meeting with their photographer that they use to shoot their interiors. And that photographer friend had a friend who was looking for a mature model for a story for Renaissance magazine. And when they were meeting, they suggested and say, oh, we know this girl in our, she used to model, this girl. And so when I was approached, I initially was like, why?
So much pressure.
It's so much pressure. Why would I want to do this? I'm so nice and secure behind this desk here. I've been here for, 16 years. Because, you also know there's a reality. There's no, once you commit fully to it, there's also a sense of insecurity because it's not a steady everyday job. You're not going to get your bi-weekly check that you could count on. So it's a lot of that, you have to consider. And now I'm in my early 50s, 52, and it's like you've learned a few things. And so you approach it cautiously. It's like, what's the reality here? I mean, am I going to just be sucked into it? And so my whole mind was going through this. My husband, though, he's really great. He just said, just don't think about it so much. Just do this one. Just say yes.
I'm sure he's told you that many times.
Yeah, he's like, oh, calm down. Just, just easy. And
so you shot it.
I shot it, and then I sort of thought, oh, that was fun. It was cute. It's still the same mechanism, hair and makeup. Even the hair products are the same. How funny, ha ha ha. And then it hit Instagram, and more jobs came. I was offered a fashion show, and then decided to say yes to that because my interest was piqued, because I hadn't sort of calculated Instagram in it, and then it was like, oh, okay, interesting. Oh, well, I said yes to this. Let's say yes to that. And when I did the show, that was fun. And then there was somebody there that had said, hey, do you want an agent? And I was like,
So almost like dominoes falling.
Dominoes going, click, click, click. And then I met you, and I had seen 2 agencies prior to you, and having seen them, I was like, oh, same old industry. And then I met you, and 5 minutes into the meeting, you were like, I want to sign you.
I remember that meeting in the conference room.
Yeah, and I was like, this is amazing. It felt like it's kicking in. And it's an energy now that's taking over, and I was like, oh, great. But I was still like, oh, that's funny, and next thing, haha, let's go. And so, and admittedly, it's still this way. You know, everything that I do, first of all, I didn't think 7 years, this would have.
Well, I love a long-term relationship.
I love it. So, you know, but it was similar. It was just going again. You know, now it's the same thing. We just one foot in front of the other, and everything that comes is like, oh, I guess it continues.
You brought up Instagram. Obviously, you and I didn't grow up with social media.
No.
How is working in the industry now? How does it affect your approach to social media, and how do you use it as your career booster? What do you view it as?
Just a great vehicle to just. I mean, you know, it sort of works a little bit like your portfolio. I think you sort of request it to sort of have a little bit of upkeep. You don't have to. I know there's tons of models that just don't have an Instagram account, or they barely sort of take care of it. But I think it also works well to sort of showcase who you actually are, who you truly are. I mean, for me at least. You know, it helps me keep real and show a side of what's actually important to me in my life besides the modeling. Modeling is important, but there's a whole side to me. You know, my daily life, my garden, my flowers, my doggies, you know, my travel, my friends, outside the industry. So it's sort of you know, I try to show that I use it, you know, as a tool to show, you know, and I think this is sort of where I feel an obligation to. There's the persona that people want to, you know, the face that people see and they want to read into who I am. But then there's a real me in my daily life, and, you know, and it's not always glamorous, you know.
Well, one thing I noticed with your Instagram is you really curate it.
Yeah.
And it definitely shows your personality. It's also artistic.
Yeah, oh, thank you.
You know, you're very particular about what you post.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful. I think less is more.
Less is more, yes.
When you're on set and you're shooting beauty and you have very strong lighting, cameras are very close to your face, of course you see yourself.
Yeah.
Does it make you feel pressure to explore tools for anti-aging? Is that a voice in your head that you block out? What is your takeaway? Because every person and every woman has a mirror.
Yeah.
You have a very different lens looking at you.
I don't, when I get on set, it's sort of, you know, the client already, you know, what's refreshing, the client sort of already has an understanding of what I look like most of the time in real life. And when I get on set, it's sort of, I kind of give in to what the client expects of me. You know, I feel like they hired me, and so whatever they need to do and the tools that they use to get the imagery, I give in. I release control because it's no longer, you know, I think I've done my job.
I can't imagine you releasing control. Is that hard?
It's kind of, it's really hard in my personal life. It's extremely hard, and I fail all the time. It's refreshingly easy to do when I'm on set because it's somebody else doing. It's about me, but I just it's nice to not control. I actually like it.
So it's your secret identity.
Yeah, it's sort of like what you know, oh, you want me to be this person? And sometimes it gets a little scary because, you know, it might not necessarily who you identify with on a personal level. But then it's like, oh, if that person sees me that way, that's really interesting. Now let me try to figure out, you know, who that person is. It's sort of, you have to bring acting to it.
Well, all in real time with no preparation.
Yeah, with no preparation. And you just have to relax in the role. I think people always said that if you're going to be a good actor, you just have to not act. You just have to be and just, you know, express who you are and be self-assured, because surely the camera will see if you're not sure of yourself.
I think that's why you're great at your job.
Yeah.
Talking about going on set, recently you posed nude for two of the world's top photographers.
Wow. Yes.
And that is obviously a very exciting project. And also, in my opinion, it's very transgressive, even for 2025, and something you and I definitely wouldn't have pictured 7 years ago or 30 years ago.
Oh, no.
Tell us everything.
Well, when you gave me that phone, when you called me, it was sort of new. I wasn't as shocked because I think secretly, to be truly honest, secretly I was like waiting for it. Or maybe I put it out in the universe. I always thought somebody should just ask me to pose nude. And would I? You know, so it was sort of a thought, would I? And then, you know, I'm like, no, probably it's not going to happen anyway. So you kind of just, and then the thought leaves and you move on with your life. So when you called me and you said it, you know, I was like, oh, interesting. But then the next thing is like, oh, no, but I've got flaws. I have a 59-year-old body. Even me. I have a 59-year-old body, and no matter how much I work out, but I don't overdo it. I don't kill it. I try to keep everything in measure, you know, in reality. Let's not just run away with the plot. Just be real about things. It's really important for me to be real. And so I want to be brave, and I want to be, so all of this entered my brain and played part of agreeing to do it because I want to be brave, because I have women that, you know, that watch me even from my office job, that are fully in my corner of all ages, that are there applauding me and going, go, Sylke, go. I want to be brave because so often you don't see that, because they're going to pick models that have the perfect little 20-year-old body, with taut skin, but for that very reason, I think I wanted to do it because I wanted to be brave and I wanted to do it.
And how did you feel after?
I felt great. So there were totally moments where I wanted to before, you know, and it was like 2 weeks when it actually happened. I was like, oh, you know, they're probably going to just not confirm me anyway. And then
I could tell you thought
and
that.
then I was like, oh my God.
I was thinking the opposite.
I escaped that one. This one, okay, woo. But no, then it happened, of course. And then, you know, and then I said, well, here we go. We're just going to have to go with this, you know, and we're going to have to be brave, and it's going to be fine. And it was fine, and it was great. And, you know, on set as a model in the fashion shows, you're always, you know, in a state of undressing. And there's always women around, men around. Sometimes photographers enter this so early, or when you're even on a shoot, there, you know, there's, you know, and just to not make things complicated, I'm often, and people want to protect my privacy, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, let's just get dressed and, you know, let's get this done. I don't want to hide, and it's like, whatever. So they're going to see my breast, or they're going to see my butt. You know, it's fine. They're going to see the flaws. I mean, welcome to the world, you know, like this is reality. And I guess this is why people book me. They want to see the real thing, you know, and somewhere I think there's a lot of people that sort of live vicariously through me, because I can tell, you know, that this is real. This is somebody real, you know. at age 59, we get to see what that looks like.
A
little bit more.
I cannot wait to see those photos.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be, yeah. Because it's always, you have images of, you did it, but you don't see the lens. And again, you sort of remove from it because you're too close to yourself. Yeah, and then it's always interesting to see what they're seeing. And again, I was on set and they were like, oh, you're so graceful. And I'm like, graceful? Wow, I don't think of myself as graceful that often, but I think with age you sort of gain a certain grace.
The show that you opened in Paris in January, Alexandre Vautier for Couture.
Yeah.
What did you tell yourself when you were walking down the runway? Were you nervous?
No, it's like anything. You just have to go and do it. Like, I don't have a choice. Like, what's the choice here? I wanted to do the show. I flew all the way to Paris. I was happy to get the booking. I'm here. I'm walking in. And they're like, and I saw my face first in line, the person that signs you in. And I thought, oh, funny, they'll put me in first. But I didn't think I was first in the lineup. I was just like, oh. So I didn't think. And then I got in, and then they grabbed me and said, Sylke, you're going to have to walk the show because you're opening. And I'm like, what? That's funny. Why? It's like, why would you do that? So I definitely have a sense of humbleness where I'm just grateful to be there. I mean, the idea of modeling at my age now and then being flown to Paris and spend a few days in Paris and walk a beautiful show, I mean, that's tremendous in itself.
I agree.
mean, that's so, I mean, people dream of this.
Of all ages.
Of all ages, and I still do. Every time somebody books me and they want to fly me across, I'm like, me? Why? I'm always, why me? But it's not because, not that I don't deserve it, but I don't deserve it more than anyone else. I don't think that way, I could see why people would pick me. I mean, let's not kid around, but it's also, look around. I mean, the industry has changed.
Well, there's many choices.
The inclusiveness now, that's the thing that really, and thankfully it has changed and it's still going, thankfully, and it seems to be something that, resonates with the customer out there, and I think that's the reason why there's women out there that want to see themselves, and it makes sense.
I mean, for sure, advertising has radically changed, and I think representation has changed, and we're all watching it, and you and I aren't that many years apart, and we're growing up and growing into ourselves, and I think learning, for us, what kind of clothes do you want to wear at this age? A lot of times it's not that different than it was 10 or 15 years ago. Sometimes we have better taste. Maybe
we can
more
afford
evolved
it.
Taste. We can afford different clothes. But, the concept of old man clothes or old lady clothes, I think it's sort of dead.
I hope so. It should be. Because I'm, but it's funny, I think people still have that in their head a little bit of what a woman my age should look like. I never had children, so for me, I just go along, and I have the luxury of all the time for myself, and I never had to play the role of the grown-up. So to me, it's just a natural sort of progression of my life, and I never thought of, I've never, and then especially living in New York and being in this industry, I just never created sort of old, I don't know what that's supposed to be.
I mean, I think there's an aspect of being a New Yorker that's timeless.
Yeah.
Last year you appeared on the cover of Vogue Poland. That was a huge deal. What did it mean to you as a model to have a Vogue cover?
Crazy. I know I use the word crazy, and then people say, no, it's not crazy. This is great. But crazy, again, if you think the backdrop of the 80s and the 90s, Vogue covers were sort of reserved for back then, and still now reserved for the young and the beautiful and the famous. Back then it was the supermodels. So again, are you for real? But then you remember going, well, isn't this why we're doing this? So yes, women like me, I was going to say I should be on the cover, but I, being the representative of my age group, women that they are fully vibrant at my age, should be represented as such. Why shouldn't we?
I have a lot of interesting guests like yourself on this podcast. What's a question that you have for another model or for a casting director or a decision maker in the industry? What do you wonder?
Well, I wonder about you actually often. I mean, the same way when I walked in to MUSE and you met me, I mean, I don't know what the person said to you about me. I said, oh, I have a great girl for you, great woman. I mean, what is how do you know? How do you know? Because, I know you recently looked, for people to help you scout a model. I mean, I'm in the industry. I can never tell. I feel that's the one thing where sometimes I even see a model and I'm like, I don't understand. For the first moment, it takes me a moment to sort of see why is she a model, And then I start seeing it, but it's not. I feel like you or any model, any scout, they're seeing something that I can't see it. So what is it? How do you know? How do you see the seed that you could plant and help grow and blossom?
That's a great question. I think I go with my gut. But I often wonder, what does that mean? So, of course, we're always thinking of, how tall is someone? What's their body shape? What does their face look like? What's their facial structure? Can they do beauty? Can they do fashion? Can they do swim? All of those things are aesthetic. But for me, it's critical to meet people in person. And, that's one thing that COVID made me crazy about, because I hate online scouting. I hate Zoom across my life. I try and do it as little as possible.
I think everyone does.
It really flattens what makes people interesting and unique. And that's exactly what we're looking for, or I'm looking for at MUSE. But I think, sitting down with someone and getting to know them a little and getting to know, first of all, what do they want?
Yeah.
Do they know what they want? It's okay not to know. I'm always looking for an openness, because I think if you enter this industry on the modeling side and you're too closed, nothing's going to work for you.
Yeah.
The doors are going to be closed. And, I always thought of an agent I worked with, and the first question he would ask any model is, would you dye your hair? And it wasn't because he thought person should. It was to see how their mind worked, and could they only think linear, and did they jump to the negative right away, and did they clutch? And I think that's such a great litmus test. It's not the only one, but what you want to see is this openness, and it doesn't mean you have to be available for every job, every project, every idea, but you're going to consider that. And I think it's a creative industry, and you have to adapt to that if you want success. I think the other thing I really look for is, how do you connect with people? Because it's huge. And as much as there are video castings and a lot of things are done with technology, you know what it's like to be on set with 50 people. And you're the center of attention. Not everyone can handle that.
No.
And some people can learn to do it, and they thrive in that environment. But again, I think there's an openness and a willingness to engage. If you're not curious about people or about the world, I don't think you're going to do great as a model or, frankly, as an agent. So I try and gauge all that in 5 minutes and then go with my gut. And
what's the success rate? In terms of
high.
High.
Do you want a percentage?
Yeah. Why not?
I'll go with 80.
Well, that's really good. So it's only 20, 20 out of 100 times, you go, didn't work. But that's great.
And also there's a lot that I can't control in people's, what we're working with is people, and they have their own lives, their own decisions, things change. But you can start with an excitement and a potential to grow together. And then I think that is the root of amazing model-agent relationship. And actually the root of most amazing relationships is growing together and listening to each other.
Yeah. But you did that for me, certainly. Because I remember your response was, your energy was just, it was like, no, duh. It was right there, and it made me feel, and it wasn't a question. Like, it was happening. Where the other, that's where you go, oh, this doesn't feel, is it flowing or is it not flowing? And with you, it just, okay, let's do it. And then it was the next step. And then I remember you stepped away, and then you came back and you asked me if I was willing to do editorial. And I'm like, well, yeah. Of course we want to do editorial. That would be amazing. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know your whole history.
Yeah.
I didn't know where you came from.
Yeah.
But that's the thing I love about this industry, is getting to know someone over the years and engaging new opportunities together, things that we never expected.
Yeah. No.
And I believe always more to come. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you.
Connor, thank you. Thank you for everything. You mean a lot.